Hello guys. So, Mixie, Nixie, Pixie.
Think I'm kidding? No.
It's new names for haircuts in 2022. So I'm doing this channel for about like 7 years and I haven't been talking about trends ever. Even though I talk a lot about beauty, about fashion, about clothes. This time I decided that it's important to still talk about, just for the sake of understanding, and also who exactly is gonna look good on this and that trend. We're gonna talk about anti-trends too, but it's gonna be video number 3. So today we're only gonna talk about haircuts in 2022. You know, when I got this idea to make this video, I started researching the information about it. And I thought I probably will not find any haircut that I haven't heard before, first of all, and that is not trendy nowadays, because it seems like everything is trendy now. It's very hard to find something that is not very trendy. But no, you know, there's still some untrendy things, still things that do look very old-fashioned this time, but as I said, it's gonna be my video number 3. And also there are new names for new haircuts. Techniques are more or less same, but probably it's more like a shaping that didn't have a name before, but now it does. This pandemic era was pretty unpredictable. Many people didn't go to salons. You gotta manage somehow your haircut and hair color and still look good and like yourself, or you don't care about this and you're getting used to kind of new routines. I know many women really learned how to dye their hair, their own hair, even though before they went to salon all the time. And many women even know now how to cut their own hair, or many women grew out their hair. So we're gonna go from the smallest amount of hair to a biggest. So first trend is Pixie Cut. Pixie Cut has been known for a long time. I'm gonna do a separate video about would you look good with a Pixie Cut. It's a huge subject. As you know, I have many videos kind of like this. Would you look good with bob? Would you look good with blonde, with black color? So it by itself needs a deeper research. But nowadays the Pixie is trendy, the one that is with soft razored edges. You know, there can be different kinds of Pixie. This one is more self-made, if we can say so, like just some women who are used to have a pixie, they couldn't stand it growing out, so they were trying to do it themselves. So they would cut it with scissors or with razor in different parts of their hair. So at some places the length was shorter and some longer, but they can actually style it slightly tousled upstairs like this, irregularly, not very smooth. And some still of course go to the salon, because pixie haircut is probably one of the hardest haircuts to do for yourself, because everything has to be a very certain gradual length, especially when the pixie is more hair at the front and shorter at the back. Can you imagine how well of that gradient has to go from the back of your hair to the front? So it's not that easy to do that, because the head shape is very complicated. So if you remember Winona Ryder in the 90s, so this is approximately that pixie cut that is pretty trendy now. And when I say trendy, I don't say everybody should go and get it because it just looks very modern. I don't think that it even looks modern or trendy, to be honest. It is still on like something that doesn't go out of style for decades. What's a little bit new in that pixie, I think it's open ears. I can see a bit more of the opened ears. Before, the pixie shape was pretty much like classic, like the hairdressers were taught to do, like an old school kind of a thing, where they did have that temples length a little bit, till the middle of the ear or something like this. Then we go longer. So number 2 is Nixing. And I know I'm gonna tell you many strange names today. Okay, she did pixie in a salon, and then pandemic happened. Salons closed. Pixie is growing normally very fast, and it's normally losing its shape very fast. Especially if the woman has slightly wavy hair that normally is lying down to different directions. It's sometimes so hard to maintain. And if it starts growing, especially in the back, it kind of creates those wispy ends on the very back of the head. Not every woman likes that. So that's why normally women just run to the salon to cut it shorter again, to bring it a neat and tidy shape of their pixie. This time we didn't have a chance for that. So this is now called Nixie haircut, which means nearly pixie. But sometimes women want that slightly longer pixie. They want to go from that shortest pixie to slightly longer. They still go to salon to shape it a certain way. They normally get rid of that, again, temple area a little bit, and on the back they make it shorter again, like in their previous pixie. But that hair on top they normally keep slightly longer. They shape it a certain way if they want to have that side parting and a little bit asymmetry here to fall down on their forehead. You know, all that is still shaping their pixie, just making it slightly longer. But in this case, no. Just imagine all the hair that was ideally shaped into that classic very short pixie, they just started growing. So every hair that started growing on the back and on the temples area. So this is what means Nixie. And nowadays, women, they ask for this haircut, not many, because many are not as brave. And again, when they do Nixie nowadays, they sometimes remove the temples almost completely, show the ears. That is creating a little bit even more punk effect to it, because the punks first started to actually shave the sides of their head and on the back as well. So it does look very punkish. So who would look good with that kind of hair? So first of all, you gotta know your personal style, how you dress up, how you feel yourself, because I think it's a very certain style. Maybe something like 80s pop, 80s rock style, punkish style, something very edgy. I think women with tight faces and strong bone structure or sharp facial bone structure, they can look pretty nice in that, but also it depends on everything else. So it's pretty hard to predict. Maybe women with tomboyish figure, they would look pretty interesting. Bony women, you know, like with slightly elongated arms, slightly angular women with more squarish shoulders. Tall or maybe smaller women would probably even look better in that. But tall women, okay, that can also be the case. But again, it just depends on the style itself. I probably would not recommend it for women who is concerned about this area, like too soft double chin area, too soft cheeks here, and if they feel like their neck is wide. So I think for this kind of women, we need something here. We need something to create a shadow here underneath. So to make the jaw a little bit more contrasted, you know, to drop a shadow on the neck. And this way, it really is drawing the picture of your jawline. So it's really popping your jawline up a little bit, forward a little bit, and it's making your face just look slightly stronger and more uptight and lifted. So I think and just in general, if I imagine women like this with very soft shoulders being very soft and hair like this, maybe it also depends on how she styles it. If she styles it inwards, if she styles it very softly and rounded, I think that can look pretty cool. And if she has Afro hair, I think that would look pretty cool. But if she has straight hair or slightly wavy that is just sticking out there, I think that probably would look slightly not for her. So if Nixie grows out, we get Mixie, mullet and pixie. So what is mullet? Mullet is a haircut that was very popular in the 80s, maybe started in the 70s with David Bowie, which is very short at the front and special on the sides and long on the back. Some people say that it started from the fishermen. Mullet is the name of the fish, first of all. So some people say the name mullet for the haircut comes from the fishermen who were fishing, and then they kept their hair short at the front and in the sides so it would not bother them here. But they kept them long on the back so they would not have neck pain when the wind is blowing to their neck on the back. It is still not the mullet time today. Relax. Probably the first brave girl was Miley Cyrus when she just did it a couple of years ago, I think, that kind of a haircut. And not everybody was dare to do that. Maybe just some other celebrities. I'm not seeing personally women wearing that kind of haircut outside. Maybe a little bit more shaggy and layered, but we're gonna go to that a bit later. But not this particular type of a mixie between mullet and pixie. Number 4, we have Bixie. So Bixie means bob and pixie. At the front it looks a little bit like a bob or curtain bangs, like this. Starting being a bob already, and then on the back it's a pixie. We had it before, but probably not in that particular shape. Not that exaggerated shape. And I think this particular hairstyle, Bixie, is a little bit more flattering to more women. It can be nice looking on women with softer features or with more flesh, with rounder faces too, because still something longer at the front, it really frames the face, and sometimes it covers the sides of the face if you want to just cover it slightly here, you know. And then on the back, you know, open neck in this case, it creates that pretty elegant line, very sensual, and that calm line that is straight by the face or slightly going outwards. I think that already creates that softness, dreaminess, and elegance. Number 5 is wolf cut. Probably it's called wolf cut because wolves, sometimes they have this layered outwards fur, probably because of that. But wolf cut is basically same when it's mullet and shag, which in my observation, meaning that in a mullet situation, we have very short here at the temple area and pretty short here at the fringe area and long on the back. When we have shag plus mullet, wolf cut, yeah, we still have something here, but the temples are cut in that way that they go gradually like steps, and normally they are styled that way a little bit, like to the front of your face, so that looks like a wolf. Of course, every time we're talking about something like this, something exaggerated, maybe slightly not very practical, because our hair is growing still very fast. And every month it's gonna look differently, especially for women whose hair is not quite curly, but not quite straight, like slightly wavy. You never know. Can it be outwards, inwards? How much time you're gonna spend to make it all look good on you, what shape exactly you want to go for. All those things are good to consider before you're doing this. If you're ready to style it all the time with some kind of a wax or special products that keep that length and volume. And as I said, we go from less hair to more hair. So what happens if the wolf cut is growing? We have shag of the 70s or 90s layers. There still have some difference in that. Probably haircut itself is pretty close. In the 90s though, I believe that this is Britney Spears kind of a vibe with low-rise jeans, with straight hair that has stripes on it or blonde highlights. Normally it's very straight, it's a lot here, and then going less here. 90s, it's not only that kind of a hair, it's also the color, the makeup, the outfits people were wearing. It all kind of screams 90s, right? So the shag itself, with our modern trends and clothes, it will look slightly different, especially if you style it differently, but it's definitely more hair. And the more hair there is, I think it's the easier it is styled for more different bodies and facial structures. The less hair you have, you kind of don't have anything to hide behind, so your face will be exposed and all those things. The more hair you have, it kind of like, it's already like a big object, and the bigger the object is, the more facial features are slightly lost. They kind of blend into the whole look. And shag of the 70s looked amazing, especially for people with bigger hair. And of course, Afro hair has their own layered cut, and they can do like a ball here. And I think it's always stylish, and doesn't matter which ball you have. You have whether pixie ball or bigger and bigger and bigger. It's amazing. If the hair is curly, even bigger curls and waves, and straight hair, like the more hair that is, the better for the shag, I think, because otherwise it will not be super sleek and just falling down to your neck. But in this case, it will have a lot of volume, a lot of air in it. There are also some women with very thin hair, but their hair is pretty wavy. So that waviness is actually creating the illusion of having more hair and more volume there. So that is a great thing. Yeah, so as I said, number 6, probably we call it shag of the 70s, layered haircut of the 90s, or mullet-like hair of the 80s. So all those decades had their own shag haircut. It just was shaped a little bit differently and combined with a bit different elements of the clothes. That's why it looks different and we perceive it differently and we remember it differently. But just basically it's like a layered haircut. And here we go to number 7, and it's a very classic blunt 90s bob with same length, no to that extreme exaggeration between shortness on the back and length at the front. But I think the difference between back and the front still should be 1 inch approximately, like that. So That is on the back, that is on the front, because it has to follow your natural jawline. This is one of the most universal haircuts that can ever be. Like, if you are in doubt what to do this bob with elongation at the front, but it should probably be like an inch below the chin for majority women. For some women it would be better a little bit shorter slightly, but still maybe half an inch. And 2 inches below the chin, very good length, and slightly lifted line to the back. So this is drawing the jawline for you. It is making everything looks tight, because the diagonal lines, this is what we need. So in this case, yeah, that blunt 90s bob, especially for the straight hair. If it's too short though, here, that bluntness might not look very sophisticated and elegant on some women. So some women might feel they become too simple with this. For this purpose, you can watch my body type series. I'm gonna leave the link down below. So there I'm explaining a lot about different kinds of faces and body types, and how this bluntness, what it does to different kinds of faces. Number 8, French bob. Pretty close to this one, but some women, they have slightly wavy hair. So when they do this blunt cut for their wavy hair, and French bob, it's normally with a fringe. Yes, the fringe that is slightly shorter above the brows or on the brows, and the fringe itself is slightly tousled, and the hair itself slightly tousled without doing anything. Your hair dried naturally, and that can be enough. That gives us like that slightly French undone chic. But again, I think it's very important what kind of hair you have. Like, if you have very straight hair, that also can look pretty nice. When you have straight hair though, think about how the fringe is gonna lie on your forehead and how the rest of the hair is gonna lie. Because if it's very straight, it can look slightly like a helmet hair or slightly like a swimming hat. I have another video, like, would you look good with a fringe and what kind of fringe? You can watch that. I'm gonna leave the link down below. Now we go into fuller haircuts, to bigger hair. Number 9 is full and long hair with layers, like Matilda Jerv. You probably know her. I think she's a fashion blogger on Instagram or something. So she has that kind of very full, natural hair, not hair extensions, that is her hair. So she's doing those layers and it looks like a lion's mane. And also she has that curtain bangs. I think that just looks very rich, you know, very healthy. And she does have some shag on her hair. Her hair is not completely straight, so that also is a plus point for that kind of haircuts. So if you have heavy hair, all same length, pretty long, you can always just add that and have it look pumped. So only if you have full hair naturally. Like with hair like mine, it's not gonna work. I actually had this similar haircut, layers all over the head, starting from here approximately. Doesn't look even close to that, because my hair, I have a lot of hair, but it's super thin. It's very thin and very, very straight. When it's naturally straight, it doesn't create that air inside, doesn't create that shape, like a form of a bigger something. So they all lie too close to each other. If you do a similar haircut like her for that kind of hair, that probably will look more like, again, like 90s layered haircuts, over layered haircuts with very wispy ends. Even though nowadays wispy ends, it's a pretty trendy thing. So number 10 is butterfly cut. Again, new name. Who is making those names? But it's only good for pretty full, big amount of hair. They do layers, approximately starting here and go down a little bit, and also layers at the front, maybe even starting below the chin or the chin length. And then they are doing these layers all over their hair, and then they can whether wear it just like this, relaxed. In this case, they can have like that lion's mane, again, layered haircut, or they can pull all the lower hair back, and this way they have bob and curtain bangs. So that's like 2 haircuts in one, which is, I think, very cool thing to do. The idea of it is like the layers starting here, and they go down, and they go also all around your head. So that will create that bob effect when you are clipping them on the back. And I think the fuller hair that is, the less important the facial features again. So I think anyone can pull that off. It just will look different on any woman. For example, if the woman is pretty small and quite cute looking, has like a baby doll face, For these women, they will look like from a fairy tale, like Little Mermaids or something. Longer women, they will look very powerful, slightly like Cindy Crawford in Coca-Cola advertisement. That's a different vibe, but still, the more hair, I think, the more it's wavy, the more full it's looking, the more things you can, first of all, do with it. And second of all, it can just suit to more facial features. That's my opinion. Now, 11, Afro. Afro is a separate situation. It's always been very trendy, but now I think many women go to Afro bangs. Another thing that Afro hair looks amazing on some women is long top part and slightly shaving on the sides. Also pretty elegant, slightly edgy, but still, as far as it's Afro, it probably will have some kind of a roundness of a shape, and therefore I think women with soft facial features, I think they will look amazing. Again, slightly edgy, probably because every time you shave something, especially for a woman, even on the back, on the front, it all gives that punkishness effect and slightly edgy. If it's not super shaved though, if it has some volume here, but still it's pretty sleek done here and more here on top, I think that looks amazing. But I would not recommend it for too long faces. Number 12 for Afro hair, embellished Bantu knots on their hair in different places. But I think, again, it has been trendy for a long time, but any face shape, any facial features, I think that would look cool. And last one is more like a hairstyle rather than a haircut. It's basically sleek hairstyle with a central parting. And remember some time ago in TikTok, Generation Z and millennials, younger generation said that skinny jeans is a no-no and side parting is a no-no, like that looks out of fashion, so outdated, so much not trendy. And I was curious about, because there was just somebody who started that, no? Don't you think? Maybe just because more free, more relaxed pants became very trendy, so everything that is contrasting to them kind of goes slightly to the back, and then maybe exaggerated this on TikTok, I'm not sure. But it's funny because, you know, I still think that some women look better with a side parting. Some women look great with a central parting. For that, again, watch my body type series. We talk about this very well. Not even every classic, I think, looks good with central parting. And I think it's a lot of it depends on also a hair area. When you look straight on the mirror where your hair starts and where's the top of your head, and this space normally should be like the middle of your forehead and not small. Like if it's smaller, you feel like your head is slightly flat and you always feel like you need more volume on top. And then when women try to do the central parting and then they try to back comb their hair, then they look like a heart. That is like a very strange gap in the center of their hair. So that also looks pretty strange. So I think just look for yourself. Just make the parting slightly on the side, just a little bit. So it would still look like it's front, but just if you make it slightly on the side, then this, first of all, this gap situation will not be as visible, because still you can add some volume right here in the center. So that is the center. So you still can add some volume already for that center, and that will lift the hair area up a little bit. And also faces with very prominent and juicy features that are coming forward, like coming forward cheeks, coming forward lips, coming forward nose. Then you can check for your hair area. If it's enough, then it's gonna be great. If sometimes you can feel like it's just too sleek, it's too invisible, your hair is just too invisible, you feel like too bold. But what can work in your case is, before you're making this hairdo, put a lot of hairspray on your hair. Just don't shape it yet. When it dries out, you very carefully comb them. So when you comb them, then you will feel like how much more air in the hair that is, more volume. So, and you're not pulling it too much sleek, you're just making it on the back and letting this natural air, natural volume be here still, not pulling it down. So in this case, that can also work for you. And that looks pretty glamorous, pretty sophisticated, but again, I think more for the faces with very thin facial features. If the facial features are more childish or very soft or very wide or very prominent, I think for them it's a bit better when it's more volume or something sticking out or some other curls are going down here by the face. So in my next video we're gonna talk about hair color trends, and in my next video we're gonna talk about, and before you go you can click here on this video. So here I'm explaining would bob suit your face. So check this out. Thank you, bye.